We're Rolling Blackouts Coastal Fever, and this is Records in My Life.
Guys, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Tell us what's new and exciting.
Vancouver's new and exciting for us. It's the first time we've been here. Poutine, yeah. Fran just had a poutine, so, you know.
Oh, you had a poutine already?
Fran did, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, straight in. It was good.
How was it?
Yeah, it's good. Chips, cheese, and gravy. We call it chips, cheese, and gravy at home.
That's so good. I love
you
that.
got a full name
Chips,
for
cheese,
it.
and gravy. Well, that's what it is, right?
Yeah, we have this thing called the Trade Practices Act, which you need to describe the goods properly, otherwise you get sued.
False advertising.
Yeah, so we just name the ingredients.
On a more serious note, we do love poutine now, but on a more serious note, tell us about your latest release, because it's quite exciting. I mean, you guys are on Sub Pop, and just tell us a bit about the record. And
well, the recording, I can tell you about the recording of it, which is pretty exciting for us. We're based down in Melbourne, but we spent 2 weeks up north in my hometown, this place called Bellingen. And we just set up in a friend's house. They were away in Europe, so we kind of were house sitting / recording for 2 weeks. And yeah, it was a great experience. We just sort of escaped the world and really delved into it. I think with the last couple of EPs, we'd recorded back in Melbourne, and you know, whilst doing day jobs and everything else and socializing, whereas we completely isolated ourselves for this one. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how did the whole arrangement with Sub Pop come about? I mean, because you guys are from, obviously there's modern technology, but I mean, you guys are from Australia and
The internet, I think.
I know. Modern technology
specifically. Yeah. I think that one of somebody who used to work at Sub Pop, Richard, found us online and still was good mates with the people who still work at Sub Pop, and he just stumbled upon us, and then they got into it and liked it and contacted us, and yeah, we just started talking for a little while, and yeah, I mean, it was a yes from us, like, straight away. It's funny, you have to, like, sort of...
Reject the first offer.
Yeah. Well, you didn't even do that, but you just need to, like, contain your excitement, curb your enthusiasm a little bit.
Sub Pop has a great history. I mean, obviously from Nirvana, like to Father John Misty, to Rolling Blackouts C.F. You guys. I mean, Coastal Fever for those who don't know. It goes both ways, right? Like the C.F. and the Coastal Fever. Is that?
Depends on the mood.
Depends on the mood.
Depends on the person. Depends on the mood. Depends on the weather. Could be anything. How many poutines you've had during the day. I mean, you got to take everything into consideration.
So what albums? Do you have a favorite from that label? From the label?
Yeah, there's obviously, like you said, so many illustrious albums have passed through that label. I think when we first got the call from Sub Pop, my thoughts went back to my like as a kid or a young teenager. I've got a lot of the classic kind of grunge albums passed on from older cousins, and I was like obsessed with Nirvana and Soundgarden and those bands, and look on the album sleeve, and I guess it was CDs and the CD sleeve, and see that that iconic kind of label, and used to look at it and go, oh wow, that looks so cool. Yeah, and it was pretty surreal when we got the call up, because it's like, oh, now that that great label is going to be on our albums.
Hey, Boo, miss you. And you, sir?
I'm actually, at the moment, we're touring around at the moment with Joe Past, who are label mates, and that record that they've put out is just so brutal in so many good ways. So yeah, I've been listening to that recently and getting to see it live each night, so it's one to check out for sure.
Did you chime in on the...
No, I haven't yet. I was a big Beach House fan. Well, still am a big Beach House fan, but that first album that came out, I was overseas studying at the time, and it was like really cold in Europe and dark, and there was just something about that album that was just like, sometimes when something just like resonates perfectly with the surroundings that you're in and the frame of mind that you're in, that just like, it's like that album got me at that point in time, and yeah, it was a really intoxicating album, like all the Beach House albums really, but yeah, that was the first one that I came across.
Let's go back to your youth, that you learned how to, when you decided you wanted to start playing music. What's one of the first records that you learned how to play a couple of songs off of?
For me, it was Stone Roses. I used to be a drummer, and I was just obsessed with the drummer from Stone Roses, Rennie. And so I just sort of taught myself how to play drums off the basis of how he plays drums, which is like very kick-oriented. Like it's just got this pulse going all the way through, and then he's just got one snare and one floor tom, and he just sort of dances over top of this like almost like 4 to the floor type beat. And yeah, that just informed the way I played drums.
Oh, mine was a funny one actually, because I used to just even though my dad plays the drums and my brother plays as well, I'd never get lessons. You don't get lessons from your family. You just can't stand it. So I'd learned just by playing to records. And my first one that I got totally fascinated with was actually Stevie Wonder, Innervisions.
Beauty.
Because he plays pretty much all the instruments on that record, and the feel to all of the songs is, for some reason, to listen to them, it kind of seems straightforward, but when you actually try and sit down and play along to those songs, the feel is just so in the pocket with himself and twisted that you can't actually get into the song. So I spent hours trying to get a hold of that album and still love it.
I have a question, interesting question, a fun question this time on a serious note. But
we like fun questions.
Our friend Chuck over there and cameraman, I've set him up on a date, and he's begging me for a romantic album. So what can he play?
Romantic
what's
album.
What's the best record to set the mood?
Where is the date?
Well, they're going to go to a restaurant. We've arranged the whole thing for him because it's been a long time since he's been on a date. So he's going to put a record on to set the mood, and the owner of the restaurant agreed to
D'Angelo.
roll with it.
Straight up. Any D'Angelo.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Any D'Angelo.
The most recent one.
Maybe that's for like later in the evening though, not the restaurant.
Comes on a little strong.
Yeah.
It might be a little strong for early.
Like, for the early date, yeah. It's like,
oh,
you
come on,
met the person before.
I'd go for it.
Yeah, you probably build towards Mazzy Star at some point in the evening.
One.
But yeah, you probably wouldn't lead with it.
Oh yeah, it's for the end of the night.
I don't know what you'd start with. Maybe some Tropicalia or something.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, something good.
Oh, yeah.
It's Tropicalia, like, Brazilian kind of psychedelic 60s music, because I was thinking of that. So I think we all love Tropicalia, but also there's something about it. It's so sophisticated, and it's like jazzy, and it's fun, and also if you put it on like the record, it shows like how culturally aware you are. It's a bit of a like, I'm just going to put on some Brazilian Tropicalia. This
like
is Gilberto Gil. Say it.
Can you do that accent again? That was very good.
I don't know if that's a Brazilian accent. I said Gilberto Gil.
Good.
He's a famous Tropicalia guy, and you can say it with a Portuguese accent. I think that's a solid bet.
You could go a safe bet and just do like Kinda Blue.
Miles?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how much help will be, Chuck, to be honest, but
yeah, Kinda Blue is pretty.
Let's talk about. I'm starting a record collection tomorrow.
Okay.
What's the first record I buy?
London Calling, The Clash, I think. Yeah, it's just a good, best album ever.
London Calling, best album ever?
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
reckon.
That's fair.
That's hard to argue with that. I'd probably like something you can keep listening to. I would go with like Brian Eno, Music for Airports. Those ambient albums you can just put on in the background while you're cleaning or whatever. And again, it's good stuff. Maybe that's good for maybe if you're having a coffee date or something. You can put on some Eno, some ambient, and just get this calm mood going. Just tying back into Chuck's date. So
Calmness is good. Calmness is good. Let's do one last one. Let's do some Australian music. Give us a bit of history. Let's go back to your youth again and give us an Australian band that you were really into.
Older records that we're listening to. For me, it was all the Midnight Oil stuff. I mean, they'd sort of finished up being a band by the time I got around to listening to those records, but still just so influential in the way that they approached everything from relentless touring to their writing process to their live show. Just a really, really well-rounded political band that had a good thing to give. Sorry? A favourite song?
Favorite Midnight Oil album?
Probably 10-9-8-7-6. Blah, 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 blah. All the way down.
10 to 1, I think they call it.
10 to 1. Yeah, it's just so powerful and intense. And then I saw them live last year. Actually, they did a reunion tour. They probably came past here, and they still got it, which is really cool. Yeah.
For me, Australian band or Australian singer-songwriters, Paul Kelly and the Dots, the Messengers, and so on and so forth. For he's been this cultural icon of ours for maybe 30 years now. And yeah, Paul Kelly was always in the car when I was a kid, and it's just it's always sort of imbued with that sense of nostalgia and childhood. But even if it didn't have that, I know I would still get into it these days, because he's just got this great songwriting, great storytelling sort of thing he sort of carries forward from. He's heavily inspired by Cohen and Dylan, and he's sort of out, the Australian Neil Young or Tom Petty, sort of the mouthpiece for our country. So that's always been an inspiration for me, and I think our band as well. We've always wanted to make something that is come from Australia, that is saying something about the world in which we live, that we aren't just talking, making stories up about parties in New York City or anything. We're trying to make songs about people that live around us. So yeah, he's been a big inspiration.
Well, thanks for being good sports, first of all, and being on the show. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
We need some words of wisdom for the audience.
What was it? Rolling Blackouts, Coastal Fever.
Non-stop disco party.
Non-stop disco party. So go and dance the night away.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a new band name, by the way.
Yeah.
We're just going to add that.
We're going to add to it. Yeah.
That's a great
Love it.